What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Getting Technical, joined by Raleigh. How we doing?
Pretty good. It's been a minute since we last recorded, so feels
Yeah.
good to get back into it.
Yeah, been a lot going on in the NBA.
Yeah, we haven't even recorded since last time we recorded. I don't even know if the finals had started.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It's been like at least 3 weeks.
Yeah,
I
think we projected, like we predicted the finals, like we picked the series.
I think that we all kind of. I think didn't we pick it Denver and 5?
Yeah, I said sweep. I said
Yeah.
sweep. Yeah, you
Guy
guys
picked
said
5.
Denver and 5. Yeah.
I mean, close enough.
Yeah.
But should we just start with? I feel like we could finish up with the Nuggets.
Yeah.
So
sure.
I'm down to just get right into the draft. I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Wembanyama goes 1. Scoot falls to 3, which I personally immediately I was just like, I don't know. I think that's a mistake.
Yeah.
I think it's Michael Jordan's last pick as the owner of the Hornets because I'm pretty sure he was involved in this one. But I don't know. I mean, Brandon Miller, he's solid, but I feel like Scoot is he's one of those guys he's stood out for the whole year really, and now all of a sudden kind of. You see it all the time, like a guy who wasn't really projected to be there they kind of like him, and then all of a sudden he's taken 2, and I hope it works out. But they went fit over talent, I feel like, and I just don't think that's ever really a good idea.
Yeah, and I don't love Scoot to Portland either because you got Simons, you got Dame, and now it's like another guard.
Yeah, well the question is, I mean, apparently the reports are saying that Dame doesn't want a youth movement. So now they're here. They didn't trade the pick. They drafted Scoot. He's wearing 00. But it's like, what do you do? And apparently Dame's going to take the rest of the week. But really, we've spoken about this. It's time for Dame to get out of Portland.
Yeah.
He's done what he's done there. They've reached the Western Conference Finals. He's been All-NBA. He's been an All-Star. They've had some great teams, but they don't have the structure to win right now. And there's no move they're making trading with Scoot and Anthony Simons that's making them a top contender. There's no the West is too good right now.
Yeah.
With the Nuggets, with the Suns, with even the Lakers and the Warriors now they got Chris Paul. They don't have a chance. So it's either you embrace this rebuild, or you just gotta get out of there. Go to Miami. Go to one of those. I don't know where else he'd even end up. Really, it seems to be all the buzz is about Miami.
Yeah, but I think Miami would be a great fit.
Oh, yeah. If they get rid of Kyle Lowry, add him, I mean, they probably have to give up Harrow. Maybe, I don't know. What does a trade like that look like? Caleb Martin, Harrow.
Is
Duncan
Martin is he a
I
free
think he's
agent?
got one more year.
One more year?
And then all the picks they possibly have.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's worth it. I mean, if you're getting to the finals, they've been in, the Final Four the last 4 years.
Yeah.
I would make that move. I mean, for Dame, I'd say Dame has probably 3 years left of top tier prime level Dame if he stays healthy, and then you pair him with Jimmy because you see Jimmy there's playoff Jimmy, but there's not finals Jimmy. Jimmy Butler, it just seems like when the lights are really really on in the finals, he doesn't perform. He hasn't performed yet.
Yeah, he had that one run. I think it was one of those games he outdueled LeBron in the bubble.
Yeah.
But outside, I think it's also just fatigue. I mean, he was doing so much for them, and then all of a sudden, it's you're just, even though they beat everyone, it's bro, the Knicks, you can beat them, but it's you're tired after that series. He rolled his ankle. I mean, you're going up against guys who can really defend.
Just that last play of that one where he drove to the basket, was on an awkward pivot, and then he just throws it away to KCP.
Oh, yeah.
And then they come down. They're down 3 with, 18 seconds left. And he jacks a 3, a bad 3, picks up his dribble, doesn't have a clean shot, and then shoots a double pump fade contested with 14 seconds left. It just seemed like it was this is the moment. And he didn't look great in that moment. He looked a little frantic. He looked a little just shell-shocked.
It also is finally the role players, guys like Caleb Martin and Gabe Vincent and Max Strus, although they're solid players, they were playing over their heads. They were playing all NBA players basically for a month.
Mm-hmm.
And they just came back to reality for the most part. I mean, they just weren't hitting the shots.
Yeah.
They're still great players, but, especially with the Nuggets, I mean, the Nuggets have so many guys that they can throw at you defensively. They can score in so many different ways because of Jokic and what he does and Jamal. But yeah, I mean, so one of the bigger things that we were speaking about before this pod was the top 3 big men in college basketball not even drafted.
Yep. Yeah, it was the Sonogo from UConn, Drew Timme from Gonzaga, and then the guy from Kentucky. From Kentucky, he was the Naismith Player of the Year 2022.
Yeah.
It just shows where the NBA is going, and there's not really a place for those post-offensive guys to have a home in the NBA anymore. Like, if you're a big, you need to either be a stretch or you just need to be a shot blocker, rebounder, run the floor. Those guys that really slow down the game and play in the post, and like the LaMarcus Aldridge, the Tim Duncan, the Paul Millsap, like those guys that would like really go to work, have the mid-range game. There's just not there's not a position for that in the league anymore.
Yeah, and it's always those guys who are like, they're big enough to be a center in college, but they're not big enough to be a center in the NBA.
Yeah.
Like, as much as like Timmy and Sonogo, like they have some of these skills, they're undersized in the NBA. They're not big enough to really be a strong center and play that style of basketball. So like you said, it's like they want the guys like Jared Allen, Mitchell Robinson, Capella, who are out there, catching lobs, blocking shots, or you have the guys who who are just huge, play back to the basket like Jokic and Embiid, and it sucks. I mean, fortunately for those guys, like NIL at least, like, and college players now, it's like you can make money being a top college player, but yeah, bro, it's slow. I mean, I'm sure all those guys will end up on a roster.
Yeah. They should. And I mean, hey, they could have good NBA careers because like there's still value in having that on your roster. Like when the game gets tough, shots aren't falling. If you can feed it to the post and the guy can, get you 4, 6, 8 points in a quarter, doing the bare minimum, you know what I'm saying, taking some pressure off the guards. There is value there, but it's just hard because it's also like, can they guard their position? Because now when you think about where they're going to be on the floor, now they're the 4. So now you're guarding guys like Draymond. Now you're guarding guys like Aaron Gordon. You're guarding guys like Michael Porter Jr. You're guarding guys like Caleb Martin, who are playing the 4, Julius Randle. Can they guard that position? So is that value enough where their offensive value or production levels, does it outweigh what they're going to do on the defensive end? Because I don't know how well those guys are going to be, guarding those guys in the NBA.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, we'll find out. There's been plenty of guys who have fallen recently who have been great players. Even you said Draymond. I mean, he was a second-round guy. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. So we'll see with that. Yeah, I mean, I guess heading into, like, the trades and everything, I guess we could start with Beal to Phoenix.
Yeah.
I saw I saw that Phoenix doesn't have one of their own picks until 2031.
Really?
So they gave up swaps as well in the Washington trade.
Wow.
So I think it was like up to 4 swaps or something like that. And then obviously they gave all their picks to Brooklyn for KD. So I mean, they gave up so much for KD and Beal, and it's like, I don't know. I like Beal as a player, but I don't think he was the right choice, and I don't think it made sense, especially at his contract.
Yeah.
Like, if you just look at it and there's no money involved, and you see the trade is, we traded away Chris Paul on an expiring. He's been getting hurt for us every year. We threw in some second-round picks or whatever it is, some pick swaps, and we got Bradley Beal. Like, that sounds amazing.
Right.
But when you look deeper into it, he just signed a $250 million contract extension. And now with the new CBA, it's a lot stricter for teams over that over the luxury. So, I don't know. This is your team right now. Like, it came out that they're not going to trade DeAndre Ayton. So, you don't really have a starting point guard. You got Bradley Beal. He's solid. Devin Booker's amazing. KD's amazing. Ayton is up and down. I don't think that team beats the Nuggets. As currently constructed, I don't think they beat the Nuggets.
Yeah, I mean, we're assuming that Kevin Durant and Booker have better chemistry throughout the year. They'll have a little bit longer. They'll have an off season. They'll have a preseason. but I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work because at the end of the day, those three guys all want the basketball. We saw Harden, Kyrie, and KD. Like, yes, did they have flashes that it was, the greatest fucking offensive tandem that we've seen, trio that we've seen? Sure. But all those guys, they do have I mean, hey, if they put all their egos aside and they really just buy into winning, and who's the coach now? Vogel?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, if Vogel can get them to play, and they're still going to need bench production. They're still going to need, a big to come in and relieve Ayton. They're going to have to find some type of point guard, unless they just want to run Book at the one, which they could do, and then have play Beal and KD on the wings. But they're still going to have to find some additional pieces to try to make that thing work, and then someone's going to have to sacrifice. Now, Bradley Beal, I think, is getting paid more than both of them. You think he's going to take the third amount of shots, third least shots out of the three? I don't know. He's been a sub 30 point per game guy over the past couple of years, 23 to 30. In between there, he's had a couple of years, and now he's going to go to what, 17, 18?
Yeah, I mean, he's coming from it was his team. For how many years it was his team? Yeah. Bradley, do whatever you want. Take the most shots. You're our best player. You're our leader, supposedly. Do what you're going to do. Like, we're going to be around a 500 team. And now it's like, oh, I'm playing with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, and the expectation is championship or bust. So, I mean, it's different. And, yeah, I don't know. The thing is also, it's like with Phoenix, like, their biggest issue in that Denver series, because Booker and KD were getting buckets. Like, I think they combined for one game like 80-something points, the two of them.
Yep.
And their issue was they couldn't stop Denver.
Yeah.
They couldn't stop them. Like, Denver was doing whatever they wanted offensively. And it's like, now you've added Bradley Beal. He's not known for his defensive prowess.
He was earlier on with John Wall because he was trying to get paid. But, like, you see, once guys get paid, they usually stop playing defense. I mean, look at like Jaylen Brown. Not that Jaylen Brown stopped playing defense, but when he first came in the league, he was like he was very, very efficient on defense, and like he it seemed like he really took it serious. Now, like, yeah, he competes, but he's not the same defensive. He doesn't have the same defensive intensity that he did because he got paid. So,
yeah, I think it's also like just getting older. Like the older you are, the more aches you have, and then it's like, well, the less inclined you are to play defense.
Yeah.
Like, that shit's tiring.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think they'll be solid, but also it's like if you take into account like these guys have injury risk. Like, Booker's been pretty solid. Beal's been up and down. We don't know if that's because Washington's been bad and they're just like don't play. Like, at the end of the year they're in that phase where like, all right, like we'll lose some games, see if we can get up a few picks. But KD, bro, he's had a lot of huge injuries.
Yep.
So we'll see with them. The next move, I mean, KP to Boston. It originally fell through with the Clippers when they were sending Brogdon out to LA, but they trade Marcus Smart, who was the longest tenured Celtic. I think he played in 118 playoff games with them.
Wow.
I heard. And yeah, I mean, the quotes came out, like, obviously he understands the business, and I think it was best for them to break that up, that core of those three. But yeah, it was like he said that he wanted to retire Celtic.
Yeah.
Be a Celtic for life. And that's just like the business of basketball. But I don't know. I think KP, if he can stay on the court, like, I think he's a really good addition to Boston. And I think they got good value for Marcus. They got 2 firsts as well. I don't know what the protections are on that. But, yeah. And even Washington, bro, like, I low-key like what Washington's doing. I like Tyus Jones a lot.
Yeah, no, Tyus Jones is solid. Tyus Jones is solid.
And then they got Jordan Poole. We can talk about that after. But do you think KP to Boston makes them more of a title contender?
Yeah. If he stays healthy, yeah, absolutely. I think he's good. He's another guy that he could go off for 30 any given night, and I think he's gonna give you consistent 15 to 20, 6 to 8 rebounds. Could get you 12 if the ball's finding him.
Yeah.
Just because of his sheer size, and I think he's experienced. I would consider him a vet now. He's been in the league for a while. He's bounced around a few teams. He's been on some shit teams. So I think he's at the point now where he's like, all right, well, I've dealt with some injuries. I've played with some shit teams. I've showed some real potential of being a pretty good player in this league. I think it's time where he just. I guess he's at that point now where I'm sure he's happy there, and I think he's going to be a great addition to them. Obviously, they seem like they're keeping Tatum and Brown, so I like that three a lot better than Marcus Smart. Now, do they still have Brogdon?
Yeah.
Okay, I like
But
that.
apparently, Windhorst came out and said he's got some health thing. I don't know what. He didn't say anything about what it was. I know he got banged up during the playoffs, but I don't know. He's another guy who just hasn't been able to stay on the court.
Yeah.
But I was listening to Bill Simmons, and he was talking about how, like, since the Knicks, like, because, I mean, obviously that wasn't a good team he was on, but it was, like, a normal situation. Like, he's been, for that Dallas time he had, that tenure, I mean, it was a weird team because Luka, when you're playing with Luka, like, he's a very certain type of player, and he has the ball so much that I feel like certain players can thrive in it, but other players just kind of get lost in the mix, and that seems to be what happened with KP.
Yep.
I think if he can stay healthy, I think it's a really good addition. And I think a big thing for them also is the fact that he opted in, I think, to his player option instead of them having to extend him.
Mm-hmm.
So if, like, Boston had to extend him $150 million, that would have been like, I would have been like, I don't know if I like that. But if you were just getting him for 1 year, see how it goes, and then from there, you know, maybe you extend him if it works out. If it doesn't, you move on. You have some cap space to try and get someone else. I think the move's cool. I'm trying to think of, like, a KP. Like, who would be similar to him for, like, a would you rather or something? Like, who's in, what tier is he in now? He's like a fringe all-star, I would say.
I say he's in, like, I think he's comparable to his former teammate Kuzma. I think he's comparable to an Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr.
That's good.
I think he's comparable to,
like,
yeah, it's a weird, because you don't know what you're gonna get out of him. He just lacks a little bit of consistency.
yeah.
But I mean, hey, like, I think Boston, I think just the culture, I think this will be like his best, just like basketball environment, basketball culture. They have tradition there. These guys have been through it, so they're going to get him up to speed quick and what they expect of him. I think he'll be good. I think he'll be a good piece. If he can stay healthy, I think he'll be a really good piece for them.
Yeah. It's also his first time on a good team.
Yeah.
You could say what you want about those Dallas teams, but they were never
weren't
really
good.
that talented.
No.
But now he's on a team with, like, I'm the third option.
Yeah.
Potentially the fourth if Derek White's been really good for them. So, yeah, I think it'll be cool. Should we do a would you rather for him? KP.
I feel like it would be hard to come up with names on the spot.
Aaron Gordon was pretty solid.
Yeah, you got. I'm trying to think. You got, like, people.
Draymond maybe at this point.
I would still take Draymond.
Julius
over him
Randle?
by far.
I mean, I would take Randall, but
Yeah, it's tough. It's weird because, like, we just, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just hard because, like, I feel like we've gotten so many different versions of KP.
yeah.
Like, in New York, he was kind of the man. Then he went to Dallas, and he was kind of just, like, in the shadows of Luka. And then Washington, he showed flashes, but they were just so bad and irrelevant, like, nobody even really watched them.
Yeah.
So it's, like, it's kind of hard to, like, compare him. I don't know. But also with that Washington trade, you had Chris Paul obviously go to Golden State, Jordan Poole to Washington. What do you think about that?
I love it for Washington.
Really?
Just because
I mean, I'm excited to see Jordan Poole on his own team.
that's really what it is. Like, I think, like, Jordan Poole is some transcendent player? No. I think he's a guy that can get buckets. I think he's comparable, like, kind of like a Lou Will, like Jamal Crawford, Jordan Clarkson type, like a six.
Yeah.
I think that's what he is, a six man. A really good one who can get you a bucket whenever he wants. But, yeah, I think it's going to be good for him. I think that the whole thing with Draymond just kind of, like, it was just bad vibes. Like, you could tell. Like, he unfollowed Draymond, like, immediately on Instagram after it happened, too, after he got traded. But it didn't work. They owed him a lot of money, especially, like, I was saying before, like, with this new CBA and all the money things. Like, they want to extend Draymond. They haven't done it yet, but they're most likely going to extend him, give him $100 million or whatever it is. And, yeah, it's kind of like, it's almost as if this season, like, the Warriors didn't really go all in.
Yeah.
And it's like they wasted, like, a prime Steph year.
Yeah.
And it's like they're at that crossroads, like, well, we have these young guys who we like, but at the same time, it's like, bro, you have Steph Curry in his prime.
I know.
Like, there's only one Steph Curry. And it looks like he could do this for a few more years, but they just can't waste it. So it's like you just got to, like, I understand, like, it's nice to have both, to have young guys as well as veterans, but it's like you got to make Steph Curry happy. You got to give him the best chance to win. And because who knows, like, when he retires, who knows when the next time they're going to be contending.
Yeah.
It doesn't come around often that you get this generational guy on your team who you can compete with any given year. So I think that it was good to get Chris Paul in. I think they should be able to figure it out. And as long as they can have Chris Paul spring into summer ready to go, I think they'll be good. I like the trade a lot. And then, like we said, like I think it's going to be good for Jordan Poole. I think it's going to be good for the Wizards. I think they're going to be bad, but they're going to have some young guys who have promise in Jordan Poole, Tyus Jones. Now they have all these picks. We'll see if they bring Kuzma back. But, you know, I liked it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be good for Golden State. Like, as a closing, I don't know if Chris Paul's going to start, but just as a closing lineup, you got Chris Paul, Steph, Clay, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond. I don't know how they're going to be defensively, but offensively, the ball's going to be moving, and they're going to be able to play really, really, really fast and get up a lot of shots. So it should be exciting. They should be a very exciting team to watch. And I think once Chris Paul, because it's like whoever grabs the rebound out of Steph, Clay, or Chris Paul, even Wiggins can push. Clay really doesn't push, but you got four guys. Whoever grabs the rebound, they could go. So I like that. And then, I mean, I'm just excited to see Jordan Poole by himself because I remember, obviously, I said it on this. I think him playing, he's not a third or fourth option type guy. He needs the basketball in his hands to flourish for him. So this will be his opportunity. I wouldn't be surprised if he averages 24, 25 this year. I mean, they're not going to be good. He's not going to win you games, but I just think of his pure just skill set and his shooting ability. I think there'll be he'll be in that 20 to 25 point per game range. But yeah, I think it was a good trade. It's going to be. I'm excited just to see Chris Paul with those guys, and who knows?
Yeah, Chris Paul's been, as much as he's had success, like he's been in weird situations, like his whole career. LA, like that was a kind of a weird situation he got out of. Then he goes to Houston, playing with Harden, just two of them. They were amazing, but it felt like a little weird. Mm-hmm. Then he goes to OKC, where he was also playing. Like I think their closing lineup with OKC had him, SGA, and Schroeder.
Yeah.
So they had a 3-guard closing unit. So it's proven, like he's proven that he can do that and he can have success doing so. And then you look at Phoenix, and it was like they were a good team, but they really kind of came out of nowhere. And then, Ishbia comes in, they trade for KD, and I don't know. It was like kind of like a weird vibe. They're kind of just like, it's very much like the new owner syndrome with Ishbia. He's kind of coming in, just doing all this crazy shit, and it seems like he probably kind of blindsided Chris Paul.
Yeah.
So he's got a chip on his shoulder too.
Yeah. I was talking to someone, and they were just saying, like, you think like Monty Williams got fired because of his loyalty to Chris Paul?
Maybe. Apparently, I think Chris Paul said this. Like Isaiah Thomas is like in Ishbia's ear, like kind of like not employed by the Suns, but he is, and he's proven with the Knicks like he does not care about the future at all. Yeah. So he'll trade any pick, whatever it is. But I don't know. Personally, I don't think it's gonna work out for the Suns. I think it's gonna come bite them in the ass.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't see them getting out of the second round in the West.
No, I think they're definitely a second round exit, unless KD and Book just go nuts.
Yeah.
I just don't see how they could possibly. There's too much talent in the West.
Yep.
And I think the Warriors are going to come back this year and have a good year. I think they're going to make a few more moves. And they'll be in the mix.
Yeah.
Marcus Smart to Memphis.
Yeah.
I saw a thing that was pretty interesting. It was a graphic of Marcus Smart and Tony Allen. And they both went to Oklahoma State. They both started in Boston. Or at least were in Boston for a big chunk of time.
Yep.
And then they went to Memphis. And it's also like they're defensive player of the year caliber players. Like they're defensive minded. Like they've got this like kind of like grit and like aura to them that people gravitate towards.
I don't think they're even remotely in the same conversation though.
I just think I thought it was cool. To be
No.
honest.
That should it
Who
is
do you
funny.
think's a better defender?
Tony by
Yeah.
far.
Well,
Kobe
also-
Bryant said Tony Allen was the toughest defender that he had to go against in his entire NBA career. I haven't heard anyone talk about Marcus Smart in that caliber.
No.
And,
the issue
no
with
one
Marcus,
of Kobe's echelon of saying like respect. Kobe signed I think a pair of sneakers and when he retired and sent them to Tony Allen and was like to the best defender I ever played against. So I don't know. Like much respect to Tony Allen. To Tony Allen. That's why I just don't think Marcus Smart is really in that category. I think he plays hard. I think he plays physical. He's a little emotional. A little, he complains a lot to the refs. Tony Allen was just a quiet guy. He'll go out there. He's gonna defend. He's not gonna take bad shots. He knew his role. Marcus Smart doesn't seem like he
takes bad shots.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But also Marcus, this year, he fell. I don't know if he was battling an injury. He fell off defensively a lot this year.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the reason why Boston was like, all right, we can get rid of him and move on. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think he's perfect for the city of Memphis. He fits everything that team and and someone was saying he's as good as Dylan Brooks defensively, but he's not immature like Dylan Brooks.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do all the bullshit antics. So
yeah, he'll be a good addition to a team for sure.
yeah,
But
especially with Ja out 25 games. I mean,
yeah.
I think it hurts that Tyus isn't there because Tyus has been such a good backup
Yeah,
to
Tyus
Ja.
Jones is really good. Yeah.
But I think my guess is that Tyus also wanted to kind of get out of there.
Yeah.
He wanted his own spot. So I think I was surprised how I was at first I was what is Washington doing? I understand they got to get rid of these guys, but they didn't really have anything to show for it at all. Now they got some guys that I'm I would watch Washington play.
Yeah.
I guess the next big thing would be Zion.
Yeah, with everything going on.
Yeah, I mean, just it just seems like he's gonna get traded, and it's crazy to think a guy of Zion coming out of the draft and everything he was the guy, he was the prize that everyone wanted. New Orleans got lucky; they got him, and it's just when he's been on the court, he's been so good, but he hasn't really been on the court.
Yeah.
I think in 4 seasons he's played 119 games or something.
Yeah.
But I think the more concerning part is off the court, he doesn't look like he cares that much
No.
because he's just not in shape ever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's one thing. It's if you look at the best players in the league, LeBron, you look at Giannis, all these guys have dedicated so much time to their physical health, being in the best shape possible, doing everything they can to stay on the court and take their game to the next level as well. And Zion just hasn't shown any signs of
No.
that fire or desire to be great. He's just great, but he doesn't really care. And then he's overweight, and he's just injuring him. He's just getting injured. He can't stay on the court.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously nobody knows what's going on behind closed doors with him or where his head is really at with basketball. But yeah, I mean, bro, when he's on the floor, I mean, he's a beast. He shoots 70%. He's a guaranteed double. He's gonna get you 25 and 12 every night. They were the 1 seed when he was playing this year. But yeah, I mean, hey, I think they'll go one more year with him to see if they can get one more year, because you're not gonna get the value in return for him. I mean, unless you're talking picks, and then I mean
there's no way to really get what he's really worth at his
Yeah.
best when he's on the court.
Yeah, you're
There's
not gonna
nothing.
get that in a trade. So hey, I mean, I think they go one more year with him. But if he does the same shit again, yeah, he's probably gone.
But the issue is if he does the same thing again, his value is just completely there's no value.
Yeah, I just think he doesn't want to be in New Orleans.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, he definitely
Yeah,
doesn't.
he wants to be in a big market. He wants to be in a big city.
Yeah.
So.
And that's there's been a lot of Zion to New York, rumors. And it's tough as a Knicks fan, I'm just personally I would love to have Zion, but at the same time, are you going to give up all this for Zion and then
Yeah, and then deal
he's
with the
going
same
to do the
shit.
same shit and he's not going to stay on the court?
Yeah, I could see him in New York. I could see him in Dallas. I could see him in where else would he fit? I think Dallas, New York would be good pieces. Atlanta could
Houston,
work.
I saw.
Yeah, Atlanta, Houston.
There was all these memes about like if Zion, Ime Udoka, and Harden all linked up in Houston.
Yeah, that would be funny.
They were like the food services, the strip clubs would be amazing. Would be killing it.
That's funny. And then there was the Paul George potential trade to New York, but I heard the Knicks were a little skeptical about it just because of his injury history.
It's another thing. It's like it kind of seems to me like, and as like I'm always like looking at like the Knicks rumors, but it's kind of like with every team now. It's like all these guys who are available, right? You got the Zach LaVine, you've got Zion, you've got Paul George potentially, and then it's like, oh, like maybe Cat's available. It's like every like star who's available at this current moment has like these like kind of flaws to them. It's like we don't know if he can stay on the court.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how good he is and worth this crazy money that he's getting. And it's like those two things keep coming up with all these guys who these teams are trying to like. They're trying to like Donovan Mitchell was like the perfect available star because he's really good. He plays well during the playoffs for the most part.
Yeah.
And he's young and he stays on the court.
Mm-hmm.
Like Karl Anthony Towns getting paid like $60 million in 2 years. I don't want Karl Anthony Towns for $60 million. Zach LaVine. I like Zach LaVine. He's played a decent amount of games. It's been better, but he does have those injury risks. Paul George is incredible. I would love to see Paul George on like the Knicks or something. But it's like, do you want to give all that money to a guy that can't consistently play? And then you got Zion, who's the same thing. And it's like it's a weird situation for all these teams because in theory, all these guys are great.
Yep.
But when you break it down, it's like you can find a flaw in everything with these guys. So
absolutely.
I would love to see. I think it's interesting that there are rumors about Paul George being potentially available for trade and not Kawhi because Paul George has been more available than Kawhi.
Yeah.
Especially when it came out that they were like potentially looking about Paul George for the 3 pick to Portland. And I was like, why would they link Scoot with Kawhi? Doesn't make any sense.
So. I would give up if I was the Knicks. I would give up. I would give Julius up for Paul George or RJ.
I know.
Or both.
Well, the thing I wouldn't give both.
I would give both.
Paul George.
If I got Paul George,
and Randall are boys. So I feel like if they were getting Paul George, they'd probably keep Randall and give up RJ in the trade.
Yeah, I mean that'd be a nice 3.
He was just on Paul George's podcast.
Yeah, yeah. That's where I think Julius Randle flourishes as a third option.
Yeah.
As a third option, they could be a championship contender. But if Julius Randle is your borderline first, second option, I mean Jalen Brunson has clearly taken that now, but yeah, second option, you're not going to win much with Julius Randle.
Yeah. It would be cool to see Paul George traded. I just feel like it's just never going to work in LA. That team just
unless they play. If they play,
yeah, but
they
haven't done it yet.
I know.
So this is is this year 4? This was year 4 with them?
3 or 4, yeah.
It's sad, honestly. I was rooting for them when they first teamed up in LA. Because I was like,
it's a cool duo.
Fuck the
Yeah.
Lakers. Like, I'd like to see the Clippers like get something, and it's just like, nah, it's just not gonna happen.
Nope.
I guess we could wrap it up talking about Denver. I mean, we did not record after they won the title.
Yeah, they were just the most dominant team all year. I don't see a team in the West unless some other trades happen. If Denver brings back the pieces, they bring back Bruce Brown. I could see them doing it again. I just think that now you're just going to have the same exact team with just a whole new level of confidence and some pressure taken off of them because now they don't feel like they have to win.
Yeah.
So now I think they can go out there and play a little more freely. Jokic just playing, the best basketball in the world. Jamal Murray was looked like a top 5 point guard in the NBA. And then you just have those pieces with Brown, Bruce Brown, Christian Brown, Aaron Gordon, MPJ. They were just elite. KCP, 3-and-D, like.
Yeah, Denver really did like a perfect job over the offseason, like just getting those pieces around Jokic and Murray.
Just a bunch of guys that can cut and finish and hit
they
open
can guard,
threes,
they can defend, they can shoot. I mean, Christian Brown's like the perfect pick for them.
Yeah.
He was great at Kansas. But then it's like, bro, like KCP, like he fits so perfectly with them. Bruce Brown, like they just did such a perfect job of getting these guys. And it's like you can tell watching them all like how much they enjoy playing with Murray and Jokic, because it's not, there are a lot of stars in the league who are very ball dominant. They're ball stoppers, and it's just not the case with those two. They're always moving. They're always looking to make the pass. So yeah, I mean, if they can stay healthy, I mean, and even Michael Porter Jr. He was not that good during the playoffs.
He didn't play good basketball.
If he can figure it out, they can find a way to keep Bruce Brown. I think they run it back.
Yeah, like what the coach say at the fucking thing? He was like, "Let's run this shit back." When
Yeah.
all
You
drunk
saw
and
he was
shit.
like, Bruce Brown's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was cool to see him hyped too. It was cool to see just Denver in general. Like, I like how recently, like in the NBA, it hasn't been those like same teams, because it was always Golden State, and then there was always the same matchups, and it's like I was tired of seeing the Celtics, the Lakers, the Warriors, the Heat. Like, I was so tired of seeing them all win it. Now we've got Milwaukee. We had Phoenix in the finals, and we just had Denver. So
Toronto won.
yeah, Toronto. Like, it's been cool to see these different cities win titles.
Yeah.
Especially when you see the parade. I mean, bro, like, there was 750,000 people at the Denver parade.
Wow.
And I'm pretty sure 730,000 people live in Denver.
Wow.
So everyone and more showed up.
Yeah, it was a big win for the city. Yeah.
It was crazy. But, yeah, I mean, I feel like this is probably going to be our last, like, I mean, I'm sure we'll touch on stuff as trades and things happen.
Yeah.
But probably start to lean more into football as summer comes up, because
Yep.
we're like 2 months away from the NFL.
Yeah, which is crazy. So happy.
I know.
It's the best time of the
NFL
year.
season's great.
Yeah, best time of the
It's
year.
also the best time of the year for our clips.
Clips, betting.
Clips,
fantasy.
gambling. Yeah, fantasy football.
Yeah, no, it's
Good
fun.
vibes.
Yeah.
Word.
All right, cool.
All right, good up.